Hey Photo World, welcome back to another episode here on TakeandTalkPics.com. This is another episode from the former podcast. Please subscribe, hit that notification bell, and join the email list. Let's get to that 1,000 subscriber marker so that way I can add a new video every single week. Enjoy. TakeandTalkPics.com. Hey Photo World, good to have you back here. This is episode 38 featuring photographer and creator of OutOfChicago.com, Chris Smith. A small note about today's interview. Chris does a podcast. He has excellent recording equipment, but there was a little technical difficulty and we had to switch to a phone call. So I do apologize for the quality of his audio. It's not normally like that. I have a few extra notes on the show notes page, so be sure to check that out on certain things like when he mentions his email address for you to be able to contact him. They will be on the show notes page. Just type in Chris in the search bar and his show notes will pop right up. Here we go.
The more that you can offer for other people, the more they'll offer to you.
Hey Photo World, today's featured guest is Chris Smith. Chris, are you ready to rock today?
I'm ready.
Awesome. Chris is a Chicago-based photographer and the creator of OutOfChicago.com. His blog has been a growing resource for photographers looking to photograph the city as well as the surrounding areas. The growth of the blog has been amazing, and Chris now has the Out of Chicago podcast, and he is the author of The Photographer's Guide to Chicago. To top it all off, this upcoming weekend will be the second annual Out of Chicago Photography Conference. Chris, welcome to Take and Talk Pics.
Hey, thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And I've just scratched the surface very briefly saying about who you are and what you're doing. Can you introduce yourself further to Photo World and tell us a little bit more?
Sure. I mean, I kind of feel bad. I think everyone else you've had on has been a professional photographer, and I'm really not. I teach high school. I'm on summer vacation now, but I teach physics in the suburbs of Chicago, and that's what I really do. But I've been really getting into photography the last 5-6 years, and this thing's really taken off. So everything you said about Out of Chicago, that's right. And and I teach high school. So there you go. That's me.
Yeah, no, it's good to have that and see that you can kind of have this like sidepreneurial life going on with photography. It being, it was a hobby at one time, right? And now it's kind of just this awesome.
Oh,
more than
absolutely.
A hobby. I don't know what the word is between hobby and career, but whatever that is, I think you're at that point right now.
I'm definitely there. Yes, exactly. You're right.
Doing the whole Out of Chicago photography and, the blog, the conference is like a sidepreneur thing is totally cool. And I think it's helpful for Photo World to kind of feel like, they don't have to just jump into it full time. They can actually move forward. And if Photo World listens back, we had an interview with Skip Cohn, and he'll tell you first, he's not a photographer. He's big in the business, and he knows so much about the industry, but he's not a photographer. And, I think that's totally fine to have that different type of perspective. So, it doesn't bother me that you're, an instructor and getting information out there. You know what it's like to teach, and I think that's why Out of Chicago Photography Conference is totally working. Because you know how to get the information across, and that's a really difficult task sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way I want to put myself out there, is that there are tons and tons of photographers out there that decided, hey, I got to teach. And I'm the exact opposite. I'm a professional teacher. I've been a professional teacher for 16 years, and now that I know and love photography, I'm going to teach that. And so I do my best to teach photography.
Can we get the inspiration flowing on how this all really got it started for you? I mean, do you have like a quote or a mantra that you live by when you're considering your photography?
So here, I'll give you an idea at least, and it's this, because there are so many people out there that try and get into photography and they think, oh, I love it, I'm going to start selling my photos. But the problem is, we're looking in Chicago. Let's say we go take a great, amazing photo of the Chicago skyline. What's the chance that someone's going to give you $300 for your picture of the skyline? Not too good. It doesn't happen to too many people. But the way I see it, so not a mantra, but my idea, the way I see it is that there are tons of people that would love to be able to go down to Adler Planetarium, take the shots themselves, and be able to put it up on their wall. And so my job is not going to be to take the great pictures, but to help other people to do it for themselves and put it on their own wall.
Oh, I love that. And it's hard to find people in this industry where they want to be that resource. And I think that's awesome that, Photo World is now introduced to another one here and what you're doing.
Yeah, it's amazing, though, how that's changed, too. I mean, there are a lot of people, the whole industry is changing, that people are a lot more willing to help.
Well, I think it's like for years, people who were building businesses, it was always, oh, you got a network. And we start hearing that stuff when we get into our own businesses and we don't really know where to turn. But there's a good amount of people who are just willing to blog about what they're doing and actually say the truth about the secrets of their tricks, because the answer's already out there somewhere. They just may as well tell the world how they got to that point. There's no harm because the answer still exists somewhere else,
Right, and here's another mantra. This one came from Guy Kawasaki, and I remember reading one of his books, and he said, don't go out there and try and take your piece of the pie. Go out there and bake a bigger pie. And so that's what I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to take stuff from other people, but let's get more and more people into photography. Let's get more and more people into learning how to do it right.
Exactly. No, that's awesome, and a really good quote. I like that. Just the whole entrepreneurial spirit revolves around that idea that it's not just there's a little bit that I can get of the whole lump sum. It's all out there. Just go after it, and it will exist. Don't worry about how much. Just go after it. So I love that, and I think you and I kind of think similarly or work on the same kind of page that way.
Yeah, probably read some of the same books. Exactly. Absolutely.
When you're looking at your photography, and you say you're not a photographer, but I think you got a good...
Wait. I never said that.
Okay.
I am a photographer.
Not as a professional.
Yep. I'm not... I don't make my full-time living off of it. I still make more money from teaching than I do from photography, but we'll see if that changes soon.
Awesome. All right. Well, I stand corrected. I apologize for that. But
no problem.
When we're considering how your photography started and pursuing it, what really sparked the interest enough to make this push in this direction? Yeah.
So, I was listening to your interview with Nick Page. He does Improved Photography with Jim Harmer, and his answer was really, really similar to mine. He talked about how he'd injured himself and that he had to stay home. And he's like, I got to find something to do. And he started watching all these videos and learning online. I did the same thing, but it was when my daughter was born. She's 6 now. But when she was first born, I took, paternity leave. I took like 3 months off of teaching school, and I was home with her all day. And so she'd sleep for 5 hours, and I was absorbing as much as I could. And I've got that same personality as a lot of people. That is that, once you get into something, it's not just like, do a little bit of it, just go 100% into it. And that's the way I was. So that's when it started.
Yeah, I think you're right about how most people are like that, where it's not just this little trendy thing they think is cool for a little while. It's like, I just found something. Like, I just discovered something, and call it passion, call it a hobby, whatever you want to do. It doesn't matter how you label it. But, that discovery is such a great feeling. And then seeing where it takes you. Because I think that's what kind of keeps us alive a little bit. If we all just had to go to work, put our heads down, do that, and go home at the end of the day, yeah, you can make a good life out of that and, raise your families. And I don't disagree with that at all. In fact, I can't wait for that day to come for myself. But just the passion that can help drive you in a different direction and open up your world a little bit, I think that's such a fun experience to have, especially in the early stages, but then building to the next level too.
Yeah, well, for me, it's that I just haven't tried to do the same thing all the time. I was taking pictures of my daughter. That was what I was trying to learn. And then I'm like, man, I could take pictures of other people. Then I shot some weddings, and, it was like all this different stuff. But now I'm not really doing that hardly at all. Now I'm doing, shooting the city, and now I'm starting, we've got our conference and everything. So it's always finding something a little different. And then it's like, I'm going to start a podcast. It's like, now I'm going to go 100% into figuring out how to do a podcast the right way. So, yeah, the fact that there's just so much different stuff out there in photography, it's not like you have to keep doing the same thing all the time.
Yeah, and starting a podcast, I can say how exciting and interesting that can be in the early stages.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, it's great, though. But, to me, that's the other thing. Just to learn something new. I guess it's like the idea of a lifelong learner. I just love to learn, and I think that's what makes me love to teach as well. But I just love to learn new things, whether it's the photography or any of these other things that go along with it.
And that's a perfect segue into this next question, because it has to do with the learning process. And when we are going through building up our businesses and pursuing our photography, we have some of the best experiences in our life that we can look back on and remember and think that was amazing. But then we also have these times where we just had to learn the hard way. A failure moment, something just didn't work out very well. Can you recall a time where you had to learn the hard way?
You know what? I haven't had anything that's been super disastrous, but lately I've had a few things that just have not gone very well. And the biggest reason, I can kind of tell you that, I was working for this law firm down in Chicago to put my images, printed huge in there. And it was just this really big project. And I've had a couple other little things like that. But to me, the problem has been that I've just been taking on too much. Like I said, I'm teaching high school. I'm trying to run this conference. I'm trying to keep my blog going. Sometimes I try and keep my podcast going. So to me, the problem, at some point, when you start growing, at some point, you got to learn to say no. And that's been a big problem for me. And here you go, another quote. And I've been trying to live by this and not always doing really well. But, I try and tell the people that help me on my team, hey, we can do anything, but we can't do everything. So I just got to figure out, even though it's a great idea, I just got to say no to more things. And so at some point, everyone's going to come across that point where they just got to say, no, that's not the direction I want to head, and that you just can't do everything.
Oh, exactly. And I know with my photography, and I'm sure Photo World out there is listening going, yep, I did that too, or I'm doing it and maybe I should change. But it was I wanted to be the jack of all trades. I wanted to have my commercial work and my product work and my fashion work and my wedding work and my portrait. It was just one after another. And it's not that you can't make it doing that. You can. But it becomes difficult to play those parts and wear so many hats. If you can niche down and start focusing in on one or a few things, you can get really good at those one or a few things. And then when you master something, expand. It's okay to grow, but don't just throw out a whole net and hope you catch everything, because that doesn't often work out.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I think that you got to kind of do a little of both. And I've heard your guest say it too. And Rick Salmon says, I specialize in not specializing. And he said that about me. He's like, Chris Smith, he specializes in not specializing because not only is he a photographer, but he runs conferences and he teaches high school. I was like, yeah, okay. So I get that you kind of do need to do lots of different things, but I like the way that you said it. You got to kind of pick one thing, get really good at it, and then expand from there. I like that.
Yeah. Can you break it down? Because we were talking, there's just so many things to do. Can you break down when you're getting ready for a blog post and you want to make sure you put out this great content and it needs to tie in with everything else going on? Is there a piece to your workflow? Is there a piece to your process that you make sure exists? It's there. Maybe even in your shooting, just some piece to your process that's always there.
I see what you're saying. Man, okay. Well, to answer the question you sent to me, I'll talk about that because it said something about an important practice to your photography. And my answer, so it's not going to have anything to do with the blog post, but I think this goes for any photographer, and that is that I think that you need to get a mentor. I think every photographer needs to have at least one mentor out there that's helping them, that is a real friend that's helping them one-on-one. Because I see too many photographers that put their stuff on Facebook, and of course they get all the likes, and they get, oh, it's wonderful, and they think that they're wonderful, and they really need to have someone that can be honest with them, someone that you respect that says, hey, you know what, yeah, that was pretty good, but this and this needs to be fixed. And so I think that's one thing that all photographers, as they're growing, they need to have a mentor, whether it's someone in your town or someone that you can interact with over Skype or whatever it is. So I think that's one thing. Go search out, find a mentor, join a camera club, join an online Facebook group, and become better friends, something like that to end up getting yourself a mentor.
Oh, my gosh. Chris is throwing all the ideas and the ways to do it all in one breath, and, he's exactly right. You have to have those critiques in your life, the honest ones, the ones where it's it's kind of a hard pill to swallow kind of critique, because you need the truth, and sometimes it's not what you're looking for, but at least it's real from somebody else who you respect or someone else who you understand has a longer history behind them and knowledge in this industry. So you need that. If you're really willing to pursue this, you need that in your life, because then you're only going to get better by taking in that consideration. Of course.
Yeah, and it's interesting because sometimes when you get together with these people, you might bring 30 images and say, hey, I want you to go through them. And they'll say, oh, man, this one is amazing. I love it. And you're like, well, I just kind of snapped that one out. No, that's the one you got to go with. That is great.
Right.
So it's not always negative feedback, but sometimes it's feedback that you wouldn't have figured out any other way.
Right. Just because you get someone else's eyes seeing it, and they see differently, but it might be working for them, and that's why you go with them as a mentor. So I love that. So maybe it's the mentor option. Maybe it's finding those groups or doing a meetup or something, or just attending the next conference they can find. And it could be a number of things, but is there one thing that you could recommend for this large, wide range of photographers that we have that would lead to growth and success in their photography business, regardless of their current level?
So here's what I go by when I'm dealing with, I do a lot of business, and it's not necessarily selling photos or shooting a wedding, but I'm dealing with a lot of different people. And the one thing I try to do all the time, and I see people not doing it, but the one thing I try and do all the time is, it sounds bad, but I try and be nice. Like, whoever I'm dealing with, just try and get along with them, be friendly. If something comes down and it's like, oh man, you should have paid me another $5, I really feel like I got screwed. Give them the $5, it's like, it's $5, it's no big deal. Be nice to people, give them what they're looking for, and it's going to pay you back, hundreds of times back.
Yeah.
So be nice, get along with people, and that's going to be huge.
And there's nothing wrong with saying be nice. I think it goes a long way. And it goes back to the old saying of, do unto others as you'd have them do unto you kind of thing. Like, there's nothing wrong with being nice, because you're just going to start attracting that same vibe. And that's what you want. Nobody wants difficult clients. So it's, I worked for a guy.
Of course, you got to stand your ground.
Yeah.
You got to stand your ground, and you got to do it very nicely.
You
but
can
you're
be
still
firm.
being nice.
You can be honest. You can,
Right.
lay out the expectations where they are, but, do it politely, because that can flip over to the idea of do it professionally. And I think we kind of lose sight of what professionalism is in today's world, this fast-paced, multimedia, digital world we're flying by in, and people just don't think professionally about things all the time. They just think quick and casual and get the answer out there. And we're all just this social media fun group. Isn't it great, these millennials? And it's like, sometimes.
We won't go there.
I like the tools, but... and I worked for a guy,
Sure.
and he ran a really successful, he still does, a really successful photography studio. And when I was working for him, I noted the entire time that, I was there for 3 years, and I noted that he is just so genuinely honest with his clients. He is so polite and so nice about everything that he has to be, and in the right way, because like you said, there's times you got to stand your ground. But, he did it the right way. It was very professional business mentality. And I think that really attributes to his success as a photographer, as a business owner. And I think we need that in our lives. So practice with your family and friends, just being a good person for a change, if you're having that kind of trouble. I know we all have those times.
And make things easy for people. I mean, there are people out there that are like, no, I'm not going to take your credit card because there's 3%, fee on it. Like, we got to do a check or cash or whatever. It's like, no, just do everything you can to make things easier for the other person. So you lost 3%, but you make them super happy and they're going to come back again.
Right.
So whatever it is.
Yeah, if you're concerned with that, push your prices up just a little bit to make up the difference on the average of it. I mean, there's ways around
That's true,
it.
yeah.
I mean, it's not always the greatest, but there are ways around it, and it's not like every other business doesn't do that, because, credit cards are pretty easy to take and it's factored in. So, moving along, sorry, because I feel like I could take this in a whole nother direction for another hour, but we're going to move along and get back on your story here.
Sure.
And, Chris, when you're considering your photography career so far here, like you said, it's been 6 years or so. And
yeah,
when you're looking at it, I don't believe there's one, pivotal moment that is the highlight of everything, that big aha moment. But I think as business owners, as photographers, we have many. Can you recall one time where that light bulb just went off and that aha moment kicked in and you were like, you know what, I'm going to try this. And when you did, things started to change.
Yep, I got it. So, Rick Salmon, one of my heroes, he was offering critique sessions. You call him up on Skype, and he'd go over your images with you. And so I said, hey, let's do it. We did a critique session, and after 2 minutes, he goes, Chris, I'm sorry. I mean, you just know he's way too super nice, so this isn't that meaningful. But says, Chris, I cannot help you. Your images are amazing. There's nothing I can tell you to do that would make them any better. I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's pretty nice. And then for the rest of the hour, we just talked about business. And the aha moment was when he said, I said, I'd love to do what you do. You take people around the world, do these workshops. I said, I can't do that. I got small kids, and I'm teaching high school. He said, but Chris, why don't you just try and run a workshop down in Chicago? You don't think people would sign up? I said, well, I don't know. And so the next week, I put up a workshop, And the next morning I went to school, the blog post ran, and I just kept getting PayPal things. Hey, you had someone else sign up for your workshop, and it sold out in, it was 2 days. And I said, oh, well, I guess we could do this. and that was it. That was a aha moment. And from there on, we've been doing more and more of them.
We had Lee Morris from F-Stoppers on the show a while back, and he brought up something of his process that they do over there. And it's like, if they have an idea, they go ahead and try it. And if it's a total failure, they give it up and they move on to the next thing. And that's when they know if things are going to work or not. And most of us have these great ideas. We have these, little things we want to do, and we're afraid of the rejection. We're afraid of what it all entails. And we start looking at the big picture instead of the little idea and saying, you know what, let's just put it out there and see what happens. And then I'll figure out the rest as I go. Or, as much as I know, I'll put into it, but figure out what I don't know along the way.
Yeah.
And
I'm very safe. It does. I'm very safe and very conservative. And so I said that with the conference last year. I'm like, let's do a little get-together. But I planned it where I'm like, maybe only 15 people will come. Okay, well, I'm not going to lose my house if only 15. I planned it in a way that made it so that it could still work. So, yes, I tried something new. You guys got to try something new, Photo World. But yeah, just, make sure you're not going to, lose $30,000 when you do it. Right. And you'll be fine.
Right. We had somebody on the show early on saying, do what scares you. Do something that you're afraid of, because you're going to grow stronger. You're going to grow further. It's going to provide the opportunities, whether or not you're going to be able to make something work in the future.
Well, we said that maybe we read some of the same books. I just got finished with The Obstacle is the Way. Have you done that one yet?
I haven't, but it's on my list now.
Yeah, I can't remember the author, but The Obstacle is the Way. And the idea is find the thing that's the hardest, find the things that's the scariest to you, and do that thing. And for us out of Chicago right now, the scariest, most difficult thing would be to try and do what we're doing in Chicago in the middle of New York City. And that's exactly what we're going to do. Fall of 2016, we're going to do another conference. It's going to be in New York City. It may be a total bust, but we won't know until we try. So
that sounds
awesome.
Put
that on the calendar.
That sounds more fun for me, because I'm Chicago local and I love the city, but I feel like I don't even take advantage of it. And it's like, I need to go to New York or something, get a trip out there,
Right. So that's going to be the draw, is that we are going to get the photographers that know New York City better than anyone, and they are going to lead photo walks. They're going to be teaching classes and then taking people out into the city to shoot it. So people are going to love it.
No, it's
we'll
brilliant.
see if it actually works, but we're going to try.
That's brilliant. We're rooting for you here at Taking Talk Pics.
Thank you.
So, Chris, during your photography career so far, and the building of out of Chicago and out of New York, or wherever you're going with this, because I love it. I feel like you can make a site for every city.
Yep.
What is the best advice you have ever received?
The best advice I've ever received? Gosh. You know what? I'm just going to go back to my other one. Someone said you got to get a mentor, and that's what I did. So I'm lame out on that answer and give you that.
Do you remember who told you that? I don't need a name, but like who they were in your life?
I honestly heard it from another podcast, I think. I don't remember which one it was, but another photography podcast. And I was like, man, that makes a lot of sense. I've been relying a lot on my Flickr comments and stuff like that. That's just not going to cut it, is it? So, your podcast, all these other ones, it's just amazing what you can get from that stuff. So if you have a day job and you're driving to work and driving home every day, talk radio is fine, but to listen to something that's actually going to help you, like your podcast, that's what people want to be doing.
Yeah, and aside from even just the help factor, something that's better than just the boring news or the bad things you don't want to hear about in the world right now.
I hate the news. Yes,
it's so difficult. I watch it every morning. I just want to know what's happening, but man, I get a little down, and I'm like, I got to go to work because I enjoy that.
Right. Yes. Exactly.
So, do you have an app or an internet resource that you think Photo World could benefit from knowing about?
Oh, I have a terrible answer for this one, too, and that is what I just said. It's the fact that there is just so much out there. Everyone better know about lynda.com. Yeah. Everyone should know about Creative Live. Mm-hmm. Everyone should know about kelbytraining.com. You go to all of those, you put them together, and you find just the things that you need. There is so much out there, and just Google stuff. It's crazy. And I think that most people listening to this show are probably like, yeah, of course. But I meet so many people like, yeah, I never really heard any of those things. Like,
Right.
man, you have no idea what's out there.
Well, and then even a lot of the listeners of this show who have heard of this stuff, they go, yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that. And then they don't try it. But they have all these free trials. Just get on there for a few days, a week trial, a 2-week trial, whatever they have going on, and just take advantage of that.
I was actually talking to R.C. Concepcion, and I'm sure that Scott Kelby would hate if he heard me say this, but he told me, he goes, just go on there, get it for 1 month, watch as many as you want, and then cancel. You don't have to get it for the whole year. You just watch one. Just get it for a month and watch as much as you can. So, that's what I've done in the past.
That's how dedicated these people are, and like Scott Kelby and others in the industry who just want to share the information. They're so dedicated to the idea of getting it out there and making sure the community can operate and Photo World can grow that it doesn't matter if they're handing it out for free. That part's irrelevant. It doesn't matter at this point. It's just get people involved, learn about your community, learn about the fellow photographers you have around you. So get that education. I mean, I for one, I teach at College of DuPage out here in Glen Ellen, Illinois, and you're an educator yourself, doing physics in high school, a class I was horrible at, by the way. And
I could help you.
Yeah, maybe we could fix a few problems I've been having.
Yeah. Hopefully you understand lenses at least, right?
I do.
Lenses and light. Then
I
you're
got
good.
the optics down.
Okay, good.
But like the education is huge. But even aside from, going and pursuing a higher education with a college tuition or anything like that, here I am. I love college and I think that's a great idea. But even aside from that, it's much less expensive to try something like Linda or Kelby One. There's so many things out there. Take advantage of the options.
Yeah, for sure. If there's something you want to know, it's out there. It's out there somewhere. You just got to find it.
Yeah. My brother had this little sign-off signature. I don't know. I think I saw it on there 5-6 years ago in his email. And it just said, I may not know the answer to your question, but I'll know exactly where to find it. And I thought that was brilliant.
Right.
It's
that is good.
Just be the guy who can get the information rather than have the information. You don't have to be a know-it-all.
Yeah. I remember hearing a talk. It was at Skip Cohen's Skip Summer School, and it was Scott Bourne and Levi Sim, and Levi said, you know what, people email me all the time, and they have these questions, how do I do this? He's like, I have no idea, but I go and Google it for them, and then I explain it, and they're like, Levi, you're a genius. So, yeah, exactly.
Well, that's step one, just having the confidence to go look for yourself, so.
That's right, exactly.
Chris, when you're shooting, what is one piece of gear that you could just not live without?
Oh, I got to go with the same one Nick Page said. It's got to be a tripod. Oh, and by the way, I hope he doesn't hear this, but I totally disagree with Jared Pohl and Frono's photo because for the type of photography I do, I'm shooting down in the city at night, long exposure stuff. Mm-hmm. I'd be lost without a tripod. Sure, you can figure out ways, but some of the shots I've gotten, there's no way I could get them. Give me any camera, give me any lenses, but you got to have a decent tripod. I got people that have these. They come on my workshops with terrible tripods, and it just makes me want to cry. Yeah. And so they've used a good one, you have no idea. So I've got like a Gitzo right now with the Arca Swift brand ball head. But yeah, Manfrotto, Enduro, Vanguard, any of those, you're going to be good.
Yeah, there's so many options out there. Carbon fiber, aluminum, they're making them lightweight and easy and accessible, and they're not outrageously expensive for a really sturdy, tripod that can have a good load capacity. I just got the Joby flexible focus tripod that can carry like 11 pounds. I was like, this is going to be fun. I don't know what I'm going to do with it yet, but I think it's going to be fun to use.
That's cool. If you have a tripod that or a ball head, when you put your camera on it, that it always sags down, and you're like, well, I always just aim it up about a half of an inch, so it goes back down. If you have that, then you have a terrible tripod, and you need a new one. So that's what I tell people.
Yeah, look at the specs.
They just have no idea.
Just do it.
They use mine, and they're like, oh, when I turn the knob, then it never moves again. I'm like, yeah, that's how it's supposed to work.
What are the odds?
They can be expensive. Who would have thought?
And I don't know if Jared Pullen actually listens to the show or not. I know he's got a ton of stuff going on, so it's hard for him to fit everything. And he's got his own podcast he's running with Raw Talks. But, I was a little stunned when I asked him about equipment, and he kind of was like, I'm shutting this question down. We're not doing that. Which he brought it up in a good way to say, It doesn't matter. The gear is irrelevant. Just go shoot and use what you have, get better with what you have, and then improve on that, So
yeah, I'm trying to disagree with him as much as I can, though. Like the whole thing with I shoot raw, that's great. That's like saying I shoot Canon. Who cares,
Yeah.
Raw JPEG, it's about photography. Although on the other hand, I think everyone should shoot raw. So
Right.
All right, he's right.
Awesome.
But it shouldn't be a motto. Come on. Hope he doesn't hear this. Right, Jared. Oh yeah.
All right. That's good.
Keep going. This is great. This is good. Keep going.
Before we wrap up, because we're getting close here, can you share with Photo World one parting piece of guidance, and then the best way that we can reach you, whether it be your website or some sort of social media, and then we'll say goodbye.
Yeah. I will say, and I hate to do it, the opposite of what he said again, of what Jared said, because he said it's all about the skill. And I think that too many people think that it has to do with just your skill as a photographer, that people don't know how to deal with other people. They need to learn to get themselves out on social media. There's so many things besides how good your photos are that are going to affect how well you do with a photography business. So yes, you got to have a certain level of skill, but then you have to, go way beyond that. Everyone knows photographers out there. They're like, oh man, I'm so much better than them. It's like, well, yeah, but they make like $800,000 and you are paying money. You're not making any. So they do something right, and you need to figure out what that is. Don't complain that you're a better photographer, because that's not the end all be all.
Right.
That's my parting word. You should go to outofchicago.com. Everything we do is from there. Can I talk about the conference real quick?
Yes, please.
All right, so the conference is the end of this week, so you're probably missing it all, but that's all right. So we got amazing people like Brian Peterson and Elia Locardi, Thomas Luther, Valerie Jardin, Mike Most, Levi Sim, all these people, Jim Harmer, who you've had, all these people, tons of people that you've had on before. They're all going to be teaching leading photo walks and everything. Next year, June 23rd through the 26th, we're doing it again. We're going to have Rick Salmon's going to be there. Frederick Van Johnson will be there. Corwin Hebert, Chris Orwig, and there's one other big name, and I totally forgot what it is. But we got tons of people coming next year, and it's going to be really good.
Wow, that's
awesome. It. I'm done.
No, that's awesome. Yes, and we already got the dates. That's a nice little pre-vision there for Photo World. You guys are getting in on the ground floor, so hit up outofchicago.com and sign up early. Sign up early and sign up often.
If you can make it to this conference this year, which you've probably already missed, but if you can, you'll get the best deal you can get on it. It'll be $199 to sign up for the whole thing, and then it'll go up after that. And our fifth person that we got signed up, Jimmy McIntyre. So those 5 for sure are going to be headlining next year.
Oh, nice.
So it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, Photo World, you got a few days left here. I mean, it's Wednesday right now, so you got a couple days here to just make sure you get out there. And I think it starts Friday night is the opening reception, right?
Yep. And then it's all day Saturday and Sunday. You can come to just one. You can come to the whole thing, whatever. If you have questions, my email is chris@outofchicago.com, and I'll hook you up. Yep.
I love it. Well, Chris, I cannot thank you enough for sharing your time and just great value today. Photo World thanks you, and happy shooting.
Thank you.
Photo World, we have to improve our skills. It's just the nature of the beast. We cannot stay stagnant or else we'll be left behind in the dust of the competition. Start with a 10-day free trial to lynda.com. Head over to the affiliates page on Taking Talk Pics and start improving your skills today. Thank you for tuning in to another episode here on Taking Talk Pics. I will see you next time, and happy shooting.